Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Season 12 in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. Tonight we head to Laguna Seca for another 4 races in our heat racing format. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick, alongside me is Aaron Smith with Joshua Wilkie, bringing you this stream on Apex Racing TV. And Aaron, it was a really intense opening round of the season. Battles going on up and down the order for all of our races, and we head to a much tighter and twistier circuit here at Laguna Seca for the first time in a series history.
Well, it's always nice to come to a new track no matter what series that we're heading to, and especially in the Porsche Cup series where action kind of just seems to be following us wherever we go. And well, we saw plenty of it, like you were saying, at Road Atlanta last week, and many unexpected and unpredictable moments. But we saw a lot of drivers that over the last few seasons have really started to improve their racecraft and just improve their overall pace. And like you said, Lazarus was one of those drivers, had an amazing opportunity to win the entire race, but unfortunately things just didn't end up going his way. And well, let's see if he can get a redemption arc here at Laguna Seca. Zavadil, well, he seems to be already trying to make that mark as he's currently on provisional pole, 3/10 ahead of his closest rival in Dimbolo, who's currently occupying second place. And of course, we've got the pros out on track at the moment, the last of the 3 classes to set their qualifying laps. And well, it being Laguna Seca, I'm not expecting too much of a field spread. But 3/10 up at the top, that is a huge gap here at Laguna Seca.
Yeah, and it was sort of similar last time as well, wasn't it, with Zabto, how he was quite far ahead for most of the session, but then there was the late attempt from Corey Lazarus who was able to snatch the pole. So I wait to see if he's going to be able to do the same today. However, at the moment he is 4/10 of a second off. So the American driver, fiercely forward, looking very, very strong at the moment. He is not the championship leader. He got involved in that collision that I was mentioning last time out. So it's Pascal Costa who currently leads the championship in the pro drivers. It's also Salvatore Lana who leads the championship in the pro-ams, and Adam Greaveson who leads the championship in the AMs. Only 1 round of the season complete. We've still got another 7 to go. And so plenty of time for the drivers to make up time, plenty of time for them to improve on these qualifying laps as well.
I think what we kind of gathered, at least from that first round, and what I'm seeing from this qualifying session so far anyway, is that I think we're in for a really unpredictable season, which I mean, it's fantastic news to hear that as a spectator, but I guess as a driver, it's kind of terrifying, as I've been involved in a few unpredictable seasons myself, and I can tell you from experience, they're horrible as drivers, going into every single race, not really knowing what's going to happen. It's just heart in mouth moment every single time you turn up for qualifying, and especially in those races, you are just absolutely, well, pooping bricks mostly heading into the first corner, and especially here at Laguna Seca where it's tight and narrow and opportunities are gonna, they're gonna come out of thin air most of the time. You're gonna have to be patient, wait for those opportunities. And in a series as close as this, I think you all should probably stick around for this one. I think this could probably be one of the best races of the season. And again, the unpredictable nature of this series and this track, it just means that, well, I think any one of the top 5 could end up winning in the pros. I think the Pro-Ams possibly, like we saw last week, could maybe be a little bit more dead set. Didn't see too much action from there. That was a little bit too much curb for Goddestad on the inside of turn 6. And the AMs, I think we spoke about it last week, where just getting into that A final is so crucial, and it can be the make or break for your season in most rounds.
Yeah, only 2 of the AMs managed to get into the A final. For those who aren't familiar, we have got 4 races today. We've got a 10 minutes heat 1, 10-minute heat 2, where half the drivers are in one, half the drivers are in the other, and then the top 12 from each of those heats will go straight through into the A final. The rest will have to race in the B final, so there should be about 25 drivers or so in the B final, and then the top 6 from that will also get into the A final, and that will be the top 30 who end up racing. So it is pretty tough for the AMs. We've got about 50 drivers out there, and so you really are punching above your weight if you can, as an AM driver, get into that top 30 at the end of the evening. We're running ball with Augustin Bernier, currently in 14th position, the highest I-rated driver, I believe, in the entire series, but not totally familiar with these Porsche Cup cars, as far as I'm aware. A bit more familiar with the prototype and the GT3 cars as well, but he is trying to set an improvement at the moment. Still Zavadil though at the top, his gap's down to a 10.5, but with Hammer and Bramley seemingly not improving, he seems to be fairly safe as the drivers are about to start their final laps, and Bernier looking for an improvement, but it's not looking like the best lap ever.
No, it looked quite decent in some parts, and then just coming through turn 10, it did look like he just turned in far too early, and, well, I mean, that's completely ruined his final lap, locking up into the first corner. And Ben Pedersen as well, another driver that seems to be really struggling here at Laguna Seca. He's down in 27th, nearly a second and a half off of the pole time, and as a pro driver, he's got a lot of work to do in his opening heat race. And it's not impossible, of course, but here at Laguna Seca, like I was talking about earlier, it's very narrow, very short. You know, the lap times are going to be absolutely flying by. There's not really any slipstream opportunities. You kind of have to make your own moves, to be honest. You have to push the car and yourself a little bit past the limit if you want to get some overtaking done here. And Ben Pedersen, seemingly at the moment, unless he can nail another lap, which I don't actually think he's got time left to do.
No, yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on him. I think he was... Yeah, I think he was just maybe about 3 or 4 seconds short of being able to do another lap, but he might be able to defy some kind of physics. And to be fair, iRacing does allow for like a second or 2 of leeway, so you never know. And
well, yeah,
he's going to give it a go.
He just needs to drive faster, doesn't he? Like, I mean, there's no point in him saying, "Oh, I only had 5 seconds to complete a lap." Get on with it. Like, just needs to, you know. You wouldn't hear anything about that back in the olden days. He just needs to get on. Okay, well, he's going to the wall now, so that's the end of it for him. But I hope he's not making excuses. Yeah, very disappointing for the former AM champion in this series, and I don't know what he's doing. Lazarus completes his final lap time. He stays where he is. Savadil not going to improve. So I'm not seeing too many improvements about the end. Bernier just completed his last lap, but we saw him lock up down into turn 1, so he of course was no threat whatsoever. And we've just got 1 more second to go, and I didn't see any last second improvements. So we split the grid in 2, a bit like a zip. All the odds go into the first race, and all the evens go into the second race. So our first race, and there's just a 10-minute race, top 12 get into the A final, also sets the grid as well for the A and B finals. We've got Dalton Zavadil on pole position. We've got Hayden Bramley in second position, who was very impressive last time out. Just made a couple too many mistakes, but he's certainly one of the most quick rookie drivers on the grid. There's Corby Warren, Tony Despotakis, Joe Vegard, Godestad, Gordon Marshall, who's top of the Pro-Ams. Then it's Matea Hapacha, Diogo Faria, Luke Andrews, Ryan Walker, Matt Strange, Frederick Kokok, Nico Borman, Ben Pedersen, Pierre Burzeg, who's top of the amateur drivers. Then it's Kane Crawford, Michael Velasquez, Dominic Singendonk, Tommy Vadal, Tobias Stoll, Adrian Mishaw, Marcus Agerson, Wayne Bason, Alistair Hatcher, and Jamie Edwards rounding out the 25 drivers. Albeit, I think Jamie may have had some issues signing up for the race. May have been having some iRacing issues, so I'm not sure if he'll make the grid.
Well, we've all been there, and while I'm sure us commentators have accidentally signed up to a race or two. For some reason, I did that twice last month, having pretty much not done it the entirety of last year. You go through the entire grid, and then there's just some random guy at the bottom of the grid. I believe, Sam, you've done that a few times.
Oh, okay. There's no need to bring me into it, all right? I saw that coming from a mile away. I was like, how can I insult Sam? And you've succeeded, and I'm hurt. Sultan Zavadil, he looks formidable. It is just Edwards who unfortunately isn't going to get up to go. I think he was trying to load into the iRacing, but it just wasn't working for him. So tried turning it off and on again, but nothing happened. So we've got 24 drivers on the grid then for this first heat of the evening here at Laguna Seca. Zavadil versus Bramley for turn 1, and away we launch. It's a strong start for the fiercely forward driver, and trying to get onto the inside is Despotakis from 4th position. He isn't quite able to cover it off, and Joe Vegas is going to try to send one on the inside. Lane looking pretty dangerous as well on the inside as we move through the opening couple of corners. It was actually Marshall who was looking very racy, but it was Faria who swooped around the outside. Diogo Faria up 2 places from 8th up into 6th.
Yeah, that was an amazing start by the Portuguese man, and also an amazing start by Dalton Zavadil. He kind of have to fend it off. A brief attack there from Bramley, who looked up the inside into someone for a brief moment, but Dalton immediately shut that one down and covered his inside line very, very nicely. And he holds on to the lead for now at Laguna Seca, as we ride on board with Luke Andrews coming through this tricky middle sector, especially on the first lap where you're kind of close to the cars in front, although he seems to be bridging a gap to the cars in front and has a clear view ahead of himself. Coming through the corkscrew for the first time. Not an easy corner in these Porsche Cup cars. In a lot of other cars, you kind of can just slam the throttle down and you should be able to hold the line. But in these cars, they are super, super sensitive to doing exactly that. So you got to just feather the throttle nice and easy coming down the corkscrew, otherwise you will spin, and I'm sure we'll see that at least a few times today, as Hayden now looking in his rear view mirror, no doubt trying to defend from Colby Warren into the first corner, but Colby just was nowhere near, in fact, alongside enough to go for that move. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You just have to make your own moves. You have to be 110% or wait for opportunities like that, as Bramley seemingly is feeling the pressure here.
Yeah, he's really under pressure, trying to get a bit of heat into the tyres as well. It takes a few laps for the tyres to get into their best position, and you don't have a whole lot of wear either, especially seeing that the track is fairly cool, despite it being in the Californian desert, this circuit. being set near near the winter. It is fairly cool conditions for the drivers to deal with, and no chance of rain as well today. Ben Pedersen has gone off the circuit. He had a good start. He was up a couple of places, moved into the top 10, but he has had an off. And I think we may have seen him having issues at that corner, actually in qualifying as well on his last attempt. He drops down to 16th, and that means that he's got 4 places to gain if he's going to avoid the B final.
I'm immediately going to have a guess that he's bumped the inside curb here at turn 6. And no, actually, just the rear of the car was not having any of that going into that corner. And, well, maybe that's why we're seeing Ben Pedersen struggle so much here at Laguna Seca. He just doesn't have the confidence in this Porsche Cup car. And look at that, just completely loses it all by himself. And, oh, that kind of just looks to me like a bit of a poor setup and lack of driver confidence, as Diogo Farah trying to, I believe, defend from Marshall for 6th place. Of course, they're in different categories, but still fighting for the same points, so they're more than allowed to do this. As Hapasha as well eyeing up a move in 8th place, just a car length behind. And these guys are super close. They've bridged a bit of a gap to Godestad in front, so they're kind of free to battle now. As that's Marshall going a bit wide, he's going to have to be careful as Hapasha is there. He's alongside. He needs to leave him room going into the corkscrew. I think Hapasha got a bit scared. Gives him a bit of a bump, though, going through the corkscrew. But Hapasha, ooh, that was... He didn't get much from there on the inside of that corner, and Marshall clearly not wanting to give up that 7th place.
Yeah, that's some aggressive driving. It's a strange section of circuit as well, because it's not really a straight. Oh, that's another hit, and
no.
with new damage model, that will cause Hapasha to go around, and it's an awful rejoin. And oh my god, no! A hole has been dug, and it keeps getting deeper. And fortunately, we finally do get back in a straight line for Hapasha. Well, that was Ryan Walker who got caught up in that. He got hit round. And 1 or 2 other drivers as well. But here was the initial one, new damage model. It happens a lot. If you're the rear driver, it hits the back of another car. And then straight into the back of him must have been Luke Andrews, I think. And then the 289, yeah, would have been Walker. And then I'm not sure who that white car who he hit was. But fortunately, they didn't lose too much time, but Hapasha will definitely feature in the B final.
Well, he might feature on social media at some point, because that was one of the... Yeah, that was one of the most tragic 10 seconds from a sim racing driver I've seen in a while. And, oh, I mean, I feel bad, because you know those moments as a sim racer. You're getting stressed, you've gotten yourself involved in a few incidents, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And feel bad for the Italian, but yeah, not going his way this race. And like you said, he will be featuring in that B final, and probably the stewards room after the race as well, as Ben Pedersen has actually come into the pits now.
Yeah, he had another spin, I think, and it may have even been at the same corner. So and maybe he crashed, because I think he towed back, so he's coming back out now. Hopefully won't influence the racing at all. We might get a replay of what happened to him. And it is the same corner. And it was the curb, to be fair, that's one.
Oh, that's a heavy hit into the wall. Oh, no!
Oh, no.
Netcode saved 2 people there.
Yeah, who was that second one? Was it Tommy Vidal, I think, may have ghosted through him?
I think he might be right on that one, but luckily, because he's Australian, iRacing netcode, in other circumstances, if he was racing normally, that would have been awful, but luckily, because he crashed, it kind of saved the other 2 drivers there, and just meant it was Ben Pedersen who came away with big damage on that occasion. And we can see if it was Tommy Vidal coming through turn 6. It's a really tricky corner, and he just thought way too much about that. And big contact there with Ben Pedersen. Yeah, he just drives through him, so he should be thanking his lucky stars that that didn't go a lot worse for him. as Hayden Bramley really is struggling here. He's dropped 3 seconds back from Dalton Zavadil in just a matter of a few minutes, and is really under pressure from these two drivers behind him. He doesn't seem to have a lot of pace here at the moment as we cut back to Baumann battling with Kokok for 10th place. Seems to have gotten past the Dutchman and into said 10th place, and seemed like a fairly textbook move there into turn 1, and hopefully should be able to keep a hold of that 10th place. And by the way, just an update on the top 12 positions. Only one AM driver so far, Velasquez, in 12th place, currently holding that spot, as this is the replay of how Baumann managed to get past Kokok for 10th place. And that is a brave move round the outside, and nearly didn't get it done, but just had the confidence round the outside to keep the car inside line for turn 3, and easy as you like.
Yeah, that was very well executed. And it is really tricky to get to the inside with turn 1 the way that it is. Often you can be catching another driver and you have to go to the outside, and that's really the only way to get through around that corner, and that's one of the very few corners that you can overtake on as well. So that was brilliantly done. He has started to pull away as well. Burzeg is actually now up into 12th place, so he's got past Velasquez for that final position in the top 12. So it looks like the Frenchman is going to get through. It certainly looks like we're going to get an AM through, seeing that they've got a whole host of AMs right behind them, so they do have a collision. But that's good work there from Pierre to move into that place, and we might get a replay of how it happened. And actually, it was a mistake from the Philippines driver. Someone spun in front of him.
Don't tell me that was Ben Pedersen again. Because it was similar livery to what Ben Pedersen is running, and that puts Velasquez off, and Burzeg just managed to stream on past as they went into the corkscrew. But I can't believe Ben Pedersen has had yet another incident down at turn 6. I mean, I have been saying it's a difficult corner, but I mean, come on, Ben Pedersen. This is... I mean, like I said before, it's a driver who clearly is not confident at that corner at all. And maybe it is a setup thing, who knows, but yeah, Pedersen, you might have wanted to do a few more... Oh, what's the iRacing thing called? Do you know what I mean? Where you can make your own custom sector now. What's it called?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like the flashback thing in your own practice session. Probably should have done that a few times at turn 6 just to, you know, stop crashing. But that's just my thought on it.
Yeah, very much struggling through that one. Hopefully we'll see him find some confidence in the B final. Matt Strantz got past Gordon Marshall. Could have been a mistake actually for Marshall. Oh dear, Marshall has towed back to the pits. And we've got the checker flag now out. Oh, but because he towed back. But like, it was going to be the last lap anyway. But yeah, I saw the checker flag flash up, and that's why it did. Otherwise, it would have flashed up much later around this final lap. So that means that Velasquez is back into the top 12 again. But here comes Dalton Salvador, a dominant race victory. You're not going to see much bigger of a gap than this in a heat all season long. 3.7 seconds clear. He'll take pole position for the A final. Bramley holds on against Warren and Despotakis. Luke Andrews is going to be top of the Pro-Am drivers. Borman's going to get 4 places, and it looks like it's going to be Borzeg and Velasquez to get into the A final straight from Heat 1.
I mean, I would have felt extremely bad for Velasquez if he hadn't gotten in, as well. It was just very unfortunate with what happened between him and Ben Pedersen. And well, yeah, like you said, because of what happened to Marshall, and we can see here now, this is heading into turn 5 on the exits, and he's just pulled over. He's completely given up. I'm not quite sure what had happened there. It looked very sudden. I don't know if he would have run out of fuel, because he literally just went into turn 5 and then just pulled over. So Very strange. Maybe he did know he was going to run out of fuel and just decided to get the inevitable out of the way. I'm not sure, but very strange.
Yeah, very, very strange was that one. Well, that is the end of Heat 1, and we go straight into Heat 2. And for the pole position in Heat 2, it's going to be Philip Hammer up there. Alongside him on the front row of the grid is Corey Lazarus, who came so close to winning, of course, last time out at Road Atlanta. Then it's Dimbolo, Zaboda, Berger, Del Piccolo, Bernier, Hemming, Woods, Bjorkland, Ruddock, Porter, Ruiz, Belvis, Jacinto, Grieveson, Parker, Kasurka, Hobbs, Verm, Clays, Thorston, Humberston, Walsh and Larney. And already I think the green flag is being prepared for the drivers to take the start then in this second heat of the evening, and away we go. It's not a perfect start for Hammy. He's going to be under a bit of pressure from Corey Lazarus, who gains on him as they go down the hill, but Lazarus has got to be very careful from the attacks from Dimbolo behind. He's going to try to slot right in behind the pole sitter, getting slightly underneath his rival, and he's got onto the gravel. They're really struggling offline. There's so much gravel now out there, and that really cost Corey Lazarus 2 positions there, and I'm sure it cost many other drivers who had not experienced that amount of gravel on that part of the circuit on a lap 1 before. So it's Berger up 2 places and Dimbolo up 1.
Well, of course, Iris. Oh, that was a biggie going on to the straights just before turn 5, but luckily everyone else managed to avoid it, and that was Ben Woods who got sent into the wall. And I'm not quite sure who he made contact with, but it was on that straight, and he is out of it completely. But yeah, like you said, as we head through turn 6, once again, everyone getting super, super close to one another, heading up towards the corkscrew now. This is actually a fairly good overtaking opportunity around here. Probably one of the best is Jay Walsh just washing out on the outside and falls down to 23rd place, to Humberston and Thornton going into the corkscrew as we head round the final few corners to begin the second lap in this race. But this season, of course, the new iRacing debris system has been in for a few weeks now, and the gravel coming into play on that first lap. You saw just Lazarus got ever so slightly wide and completely had no grip on his outside tyres. Heading into turn 1 again, we go. That looked awfully close as Hobbs goes off the track. And a couple of other cars we were riding with, I believe it was Larne and Clays, they got super, super close as well. But I think they just about managed to come through it unscathed. But yeah, you saw Hobbs there going off, and that is another car going for a spin. That is Humberston falling victim, I think, to what you were saying earlier, the new contact system with Jay Walsh.
Yeah, another slight tap into the rear end. It was unlucky as well. I think for Walsh, who had to, Hobbs, who had to take evasive action. Here comes Felvis and Porter. Ruiz answer control, and that's going to be a slowdown when he rejoins is Felvis, and he's going to drop outside the top 12 because of that, and he's probably got a fair bit more slowdown to serve as well. Off the circuit goes, wasn't Sequeira, that was Ruddock, I believe. Felvis trying to go back onto the attack now on Parker. Seems like he has served that slowdown now. It wasn't too costly, and he's going to launch another attempt heading into turn 1. He's right on the pit wall. He lifts out of it ever so slightly. Will Parker now cover off the inside? He's leaving Felvis a little bit of space, and Felvis should have the advantage now with the outside line being so saturated with gravel.
Well, Rubens Barrichello would be proud, squeezing him up against the wall like that. That was very, very close. You even heard him lift slightly going over the start-finish rate. I think he definitely was ever so slightly scared. And this is, of course, what we saw at the corkscrew. Just overcooked it ever so slightly. And down he went. And the slowdown didn't seem to be too punishing, which is good, because iRacing, when its slowdowns are punishing, it's heartbreaking. It's genuinely can be like you've been shot in the heart and backstabbed at the same time. As I'm not quite sure what has just
Yeah,
happened.
we're giving radio
I believe-
at the moment,
Yes.
which is all good. But it's still Philip Hammer at the top of the standings. He's still half a second ahead of Joseph Dimbelow, so he will be all safe up there. Of course, the champion from a few seasons back, season 10, Philip Hammer managed to take the championship. Joseph Dimbelow having a solid round 2 of the season for him, and he's in 2nd position. And yeah, generally, the top 8 positions or so still staying in fairly the same order as they were at the end of the 2nd lap of the race. As I can see that Corey Lazarus has moved up into 3rd position now. So Corey Lazarus has moved past Misha Berger. And yeah, into those podium places, getting back one of the places that he lost at turn 1.
Yeah, Lazarus making steady progress, and I believe we are actually back live now, so everyone should be able to see what we are seeing on our screens, with Philip Hammer still leading the way at the moment. And like you were talking about, Dimbelow nearly managed to squeeze his way from 3rd all the way to 1st, but I think was just missing a couple car lengths going into that 1st corner. And Hammer seems to be controlling the race fairly well at the moment. He seems to have the edge on Dimbelow just slightly. And Lazarus, with that poor start, of course, about a 1.5 seconds behind Dimbelow, and we'll see if he'll be able to catch up to the back of the Brit. But, well, I'm not quite sure what time it is in New Zealand, but I know it's very early, and I don't know how much energy he has. It's early in the morning. I believe
11 hours difference, right? So 7:30 in the
Yes.
morning. So it's actually probably
something
not
like
too
that.
bad for the Kiwis. It's worse for the Aussies, because they're like, if you're West Coast, I think it's only 9 hours difference, I believe.
Yeah.
And that would be a fair bit worse. That would make it 5:30 in the morning. I mean, if you're Singaporean or Japanese, then yeah,
God. You're cooked.
No, absolutely cooked. Del Piccolo running very close to the back of Saboda, or P7, both the track extending a little bit, but they've got 20 incidents to play with, which in these heats in particular is easily enough for them to continue on. But you do have to be a bit careful of the gravel. It is that much more sticky, I guess, since a couple of builds ago in iRacing. Del Piccolo's not too far away from being able to go for a lunge here, but it would be a massive gamble in a heat where really he just needs to get a solid result and make sure he gets into the A final. Jacinto currently standing to be the 3rd amateur driver to make it through into the A final, which would match the number he managed to get through last time. However, he's now on the brink because Felvis has moved up, and it's now Parker who's only half a second behind with 3 minutes to go.
Yeah, all Jacinto can do now is hope that he can stick behind Felvis and just let him carry him all the way, and just make sure that he can't be attacked by Parker and Shakira in 14th, as well as Lane. Don't forget, he's on the prowl, and we know how quick he can be. He's only about a few positions behind.
Always wide.
As, yeah, just
Right.
a tiny bit wide into the 1st corner, but getting away with it. And yeah, that's the kind of thing you can't really afford to do here at Laguna Seca. You just need to be consistent, keeping to your lines. Even if you are a bit slow, as long as you don't give up any opportunities on the exit of corners, you probably will be fine. It's fairly simple to defend your position around here, as Porter Ruiz and Bjorklund going one-on-one for 9th and 10th place. Ruiz briefly won out that battle, but I believe has made a mistake somewhere.
Oh dear.
And that seems to be at turn 6. Again, that seems to be the corner, catching everyone out today. And, well, admittedly, this build of Laguna Seca, I think, is quite old. And I don't think it's actually fairly realistic of the turn 6 section in real life. But it's still there, and that massive curb is still there, and people need to remember it's still there, because I could have sworn about half the grid have hit it today. And well, Porter Ruiz is another name to add to that list.
Lane,
Oh my God.
Oh no, yeah, it's a trio. Yeah, I saw there's some movement, and now we've got the Eagle Academy
dear.
esports driver, or Steve Clay's trying to get in amongst them. We saw Clay's in plenty of battles 1 week ago at Road Atlanta. You'd be became acquainted with a lot of the drivers out there. That's an ambitious move, and he wasn't able to pull it off. Parker's got onto that grab. He's going to do well to keep that position. Albeit, maybe the grab's starting being cleared away with the amount of drivers who are running over. Clays has gone wide, and he loses a position, so Sakura moves up. And Jacinto, out of all of that, is absolutely well clear now of these drivers. Parker and Lining are battling for second place for the B final grid, but Sakura might be aggressive. These guys have already collided as a trio just half a lap ago, and they came very close to colliding all over again. Sakura with another position gain. He gained past Clays a few corners ago. Now he gets past Parker, and maybe he might be able to get back into 13th place, and he does, because Lane has made a mistake, and he's gone into the wall as well. A crucial mistake for one of the front runners in the Pro-Am category.
Well, I was saying that Lane had some speed and could be a threat to Jacinto in 12th place, but that has completely disintegrated in the space of a lap, as he should probably tow back to the pits. So that was a heavy hit into the wall. And once again, it's turn 6. A little bit different this time. Way too ambitious on entry, and then just overcorrects it completely.
I mean, credit to him, he sacrificed himself for the other drivers.
Yes,
had he swung left, had he
true.
not corrected it, he would have annihilated at least one driver.
Yeah, that is true, and fair play, Lane, for being humble and accepting your fate, as we're just watching the battle between Bernier and Berger. And by the way, I don't really think we've mentioned Berger too much. 4th place as a Pro-Am might not be there for much longer. It is the final lap, so very, very close fighting between himself and Bernier. Again, this is for points. They might be in different classes, but it still means as much to each other in the points tally, as Bernier, trying as he might, cannot find the gap to try and overtake Berger. I think the Swiss man might just be able to hold on to a 4th place, and that could be a huge chunk of points for him come the end of the season. But it's Philip Hammer who, well, has just completely put the hammer down. I see what I did there. He has absolutely dominated the first heat race of his day. 1.2 seconds ahead of Joseph Dimbolo. Lazarus ended up on the podium again, and Berger just about keeping that 4th place in the Pro-Am spot. And wow, that's a very good and underrated performance by him. And Jacinto winning out in the AMs and getting through to the A final in that last 12th place spot.
Yeah, good job, and Sakura as well, damage limited for him. Good end to the race there for Clays. He was also able to get past Parker. So he will start 4th place for the B final, which will give him a decent chance at moving into the A final later on. Let's see how Clays did it actually. It was on the last corner, it looks like, because Parker went for a move on Sakura, and he just locked up that front left, and it was easy pickings for Steve Clays. Showing him as 26 places gained, but I think he started in 28th or something. So yeah, he gained plenty on that occasion. We've now got the B final, and we've got some AMs at the top of the grid. It's Dominic Singendonk at the top, then it's Sequeira in second, Michaud in third, Clays and Stoll. So top 5 are amateur drivers. Then it's the first of the pros, Parker. It's Walker, Greason, Crawford, Thorsten, Bason, Lane, Vidal, Verm, Hatcher, Humberston, Hapacha, Ruddock, Marshall, Walsh, Aitchison, Hobbs, Pedersen with a lot of work to do, and Woods. And once again, I don't think Edwards would take the grid, but it's another grid of 24.
Well, you were talking about the Australians waking up early, and is it a shock that both Australians are right at the bottom? I do really feel bad for them if it is like 5 in the morning.
I did. Michaud didn't make it to the grid. The 3rd place man, starting from the pits at best. So hopefully we see some of him later on. Got a lot of work to do. But Singendonk from the pole position is an awful start for him, and he's going to be a slow chicane for everyone else to move past. So Quera's up there. Parker with a stunning start. He started down in 5th position, but he's up in 2nd. Look at Claser going the long way round, but that did not work in Heat 2 because of the gravel. It's slightly cleared away though now, and it wasn't so much of a disadvantage, but Parker is up into 2nd position. Crawford also up a few places, and Singendonk from pole is down to 7th.
Well, Hapasha has had yet another incident. He's fallen all the way down to the back of the grid. And that was, like you said, amazing start by James Parker and by Sekera as well. He absolutely launched his way off of the line. And it made it look better by Singing Donk getting an awful start. But genuinely, this man just launched his way off the grid. I thought he jumped the start, but no, judged it to absolute perfection. And is now leading in this B final as we head towards the corkscrew for the first time. Some aggressive moves down there already. Gotta be careful. There are plenty of opportunities. 14 odd minutes left to go in this race. Let's keep our heads on and get our knuckles down, or we can crash into each other. And that is on the exit of Rainy Curve at turn 9. And that is Ryan Walker. Gotta be careful coming back onto the track. Still got Jay Walsh to come, but yeah, that kind of looks inevitable coming out of the exit of that corner.
Yeah, they were 3 wide heading into the corkscrew, and they did really well. Lane actually had to pull back slightly. He's had a pretty good start. Gordon Marshall's now 12. We've had an off for Singing Donk. What an awful race for Singing Donk, who I think managed to get through from the B final last week. He's not going to do it this time. It was a pretty aggressive rejoin as well, and I think it really harmed a couple of other drivers. We've got another off now for Pedersen. Pedersen, who'd had a mega start. I was just about to talk about him. I think he was up 12 at one point, but he's gone off at turn 2, and he's still got a chance because he is so quick. And they're 3 wide, and through the middle of it all was that Glenn Humberston managing to get through. Pedersen on the inside, he gets hit round, or hit himself round. And Verm and Ruddock also getting involved, and that really is it. And what a dreadful couple of races for Ben Pedersen.
And that's another car. That's Andrianson going off at turn 6 again. Another victim of that corner. But wow, Ben Pedersen. That's the less said about today, the better. As that is Hapacha very aggressively making his way into 16th
Must
place.
have cut it.
Yeah, that did look slightly suspicious, but he might have just gotten away with it. I think there is a bit of leeway there at the corkscrew, but I'm not sure. It's iRacing, obviously, as most of us know, can be quite fiddly at times. And, well, this is the start. And just look at Sekera's launch compared to the rest of the grid. He gets an absolutely spot-on launch away from the rest of the grid, and just absolutely launches his way into first place and into the first corner. Huge gap already. And James Parker, as well, as we know, got an amazing start and made up 4 places in the first corner. And a very mixed bag of results for people so far in this race. Gordon Marshall up 13 places, crucially in those top 6 places. So at the moment, he would be starting last in the A final, but he would be starting in the A final, which is, I think, all he wants to hear, to be honest.
I can't see this one, unfortunately, but I think this is what happened to Singing Donk down into turn 1.
Yes, I believe this was just the lap gone, and this, just completely went way too deep into that first corner, and someone spun behind him, actually, in sympathy. Not quite sure who that was, but Singing Donk, like you've mentioned, Sam, went from first and has just had an absolutely tragic start to this race. It's not over, of course, still got a little bit to go in this B final. And this is what we saw on that first lap. Kane Crawford hitting the back of Ryan Walker. And so they both just didn't really give enough space there on the exit of turn 9. An inevitable contact was made. They still managed to continue on their merry way, but unfortunately, they're sitting 18th and 19th respectively because of that crash.
Steve Clays was able to get back past James Parker a couple of laps ago, so we've got some support in chat for Steve from 360. Good to see everyone in chat, by the way. Had very good viewing figures last week, and we've got 76 people watching today as well, which is pretty mega. So thank you everyone for tuning in. This is, I think, arguably the most entertaining series we have because of the format, and I am pleased that all of you are appreciative of it as well. This was the move from Steve Clays, and it wasn't as an orthodox place on track, but he did it anyway, and for the second time in a couple of races, he manages to get past James Parker. So Marshall's now up to 5th position. He's up 14 places. He might even get a couple more. He's got the fastest lap under his belt. Stoll currently taking the last advancing spot, but Salvatore Lane doesn't have a mega start, Lane. He has been gaining places since though. He's up 5 overall and now just 1 second away from the amateur driver ahead. So that's really where the important positions are going to be had, but still watch out for Woods up 14 and Hobbs up 11 as well.
Well, all of Australia lies on Ben Wood's shoulders now. Can he bring glory? I was going to say back to the motherland, but well, I mean, you don't seem to have faith. Oh dear,
well,
yeah.
He crashed. So I'm not against Ben Woods. I mean, I'm not. I mean, if you mention Ben Woods, I'm not just going to go. Oh, I mean, don't trust that person to plug in a socket. I mean, I'm not like that towards the guy, but. He did crash, and he's down to 30.
As soon as I started talking about him as well, which is just typical, to be honest. So I think it's best that we stop talking about Australia for the foreseeable future, probably. As, well, they just seem to be a massive curse tonight, as completely looped it all by himself on the exit of the Andretti hairpin there, on the exit of turn 2, and not really much anyone else could have done about that. And he's down 13th place, and probably won't be seeing him fighting for those top 6 positions, at least this time round, as he's about 10 seconds off of those places. Sequeira still leading out front. It looks like it's going to be a fairly comfortable lead for him so far in these opening 7 minutes. So just about halfway through this B final, and still got some battles left to be fought. Got some battles going on between Clays, Parker, and Griefson as well. We've got some positions we were talking about. Lane catching up to the back of Stoll. He potentially could be looking at a top 6 spot, but of course Stoll has had a bit of a tricky race so far. I think he's struggled for pace in this one, but can his defensive skills possibly be better than his forward attacking, as Lane has caught him at a rate of knots. He seems to be going fairly cautious in this race, but judging by what we've seen so far, you can kind of understand that approach.
Yeah, and did not go well for him in the heat either. Went pretty well for him, I think, last time out. I'm double checking where he is in the championship. He is the championship leader out of the Pro-Ams line, so this would be a big deal if he doesn't get into the A final. In the Pro-Am, Lane is currently the championship leader.
I thought you meant Stoll.
Oh, sorry. But Apache, one of the few pros in this field, he manages to get past Singandong. We'll have to go defensive, but I reckon he will hold on to that one. How far away is he? A long way off. He's 11 seconds away from Stoll. Can get pretty crazy sometimes in the top 6, but I don't think crazy enough for the Italian to have a look in at those advancing places. So I think it's worth going back to Stoll, because that's going to be the crucial one. And these guys dropping the cars behind, but also dropping off the cars ahead as well. It really does seem to be one of these two will make it through.
Oh, Stoll's got about 5 minutes left to go, and yes, you're right. Doesn't seem to be a huge mistake, though. He's only lost 1 position. Possibly could have been down at the corkscrew, I believe, as Stoll still desperately defending from Lane. And, well, the Italian's just got to pick his moment here. He can't really afford any kind of mistakes, as I think Stoll is going to want to defend this one quite aggressively, understandably, of course. So this could get quite tasty, to be honest, between these two. As Stoll on this lap, anyway, looks to be going for the more aggressive defense approach, I believe. And again, completely understandable. Wants to get into that A final and get a chunk of points. But Lane, of course, having a bit of a tough day so far. Also wanting to contain that championship lead in the Pro-Ams for the moment. And he's got a bit of work to do. Got 1 car left ahead of him. to try and get past, and it's not easy to pass here at Laguna Seca, and especially when the Porsche Cup car is, well, not the narrowest in the world. It's quite tall, a little bit chonky. It's put on some weight over the last few years, but still probably faster than most of our road cars combined, I believe. As Lane, still, this is what you have to do at Laguna Seca. You just have to put your opponent under pressure, suss out where their weaknesses and their strengths are. Through turn 6 we go, a corner that's caught out so many people. These two finding it okay on this occasion. And yeah, the two ahead fighting very aggressively as well. Ooh. Potentially, that's a huge lock-up from Stoll into the corkscrew. And that has allowed Salvatore Lane to move and swoop his way into the top 6 places.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you there before. And I suddenly saw that the two ahead were basically alongside going to the corkscrew, and I thought, hang on, something might happen here. But they did manage to get through all cleanly, and it was the mistake from Stoll, which was the important moment there. And Lane should be safe now. He's up into the top 6 with just a couple of laps of this B final to go, and everyone should be fairly safe, unless Greaves and Marshall collide. That really is the only chance, and of course, we have seen plenty of solo mistakes as well. But these guys near the front should be strong enough to hold on. Hapacha's caught up to Thorson. He made a mistake a few laps ago, did Thorson. Dropped behind Vadal. And he's coming back against Hapacha. Hapacha went on the inside into turn 2, went a little bit wide. Thorson came back, but he has dropped back at the following corner. Hobbs is the next one to apply the heat on Thorson. And Woods will be trying to keep the fire going as well, just behind in that battle for 11th place.
Well, it's a good thing Ben Woods is arriving on the scene, as they were running out as they head towards the corkscrew, and that is getting fairly close. Bum squeaky for the Australian, getting awfully close to the back of Hobbs. But, well, we've seen it plenty of times today that the car behind hitting the car in front, it doesn't end well for them, as that is Thornton just about losing the place to Sing and Donk in 13th place, unfortunately. Looked like he might have had a slowdown, actually. He was going awfully slowly through those final few corners. And would not be surprising, as down at the corkscrew and the corners after, slowdowns are quite a common occurrence, as Hobbs getting very, very close with Ben Woods as these two continue to fight for 10th place spots. Not really going to be important in terms of getting through to the A final, but it's important in terms of points. And it's gotten worse for the Australians again, as Ben Woods makes contact with Hobbs and gets sent round at the exit of turn 3. And, well, I mean, yeah, I don't know what's going on with Australia today, but yeah, it's just best that we avoid it.
Yeah, it's not going well, is it, at all, for the Bens from down under? And this was, again, a little bit of new damage model happens. Well, actually, no, sorry, it wasn't. That's sort of, well, very bouncy cars. That's sort of like the damage model that has been the case for a long, long time. Sequeira has just got a few more corners to go. He's got no more corners to go. He's crossed the line, and he has won the B final. He's through. Parker finishes in 2nd place. Clays, Marshall, Greaveson, and Lane round out the top 6. They all get through. It wasn't really very chaotic in the end. The starting positions set the places. Marshall, of course, stormed his way through, but everyone else kept their heads.
Yeah, Marshall just, well, yeah, apart from Stoll, unfortunate for him.
But he held back for a while. He did a good job to Stoll to hold on to the top 6 as long as he did.
Yeah, you kind of got the feeling that he held, I think, Lane off for about 2 or 3 laps, and you kind of got the feeling that, oh, maybe he can do this, you know, maybe he can be a bit of an underdog. And then just one tiny snatch of brakes going into the corkscrew, and it was over. And it's unfortunate, and his day comes to an end. But at least he can hold his head high in saying that he was one of the higher point scorers, as well, he will be the last point scorer in that B final, as everyone else finishing in the top 6, of course, doesn't score points for that race, as they get to move on through into the A final where they can get even more points, as I believe we can head into a 5-minute warm-up where I've mentioned this before. I never knew what to do with my life in these 5 minutes. Absolutely no clue. And I don't think any of these drivers do either.
Yeah, no one. Yeah, it's usually quite chilled during the warm-up session. And yeah, just a shout out to one of our sponsors as well, our title sponsor for this series, Apex Racing Academy. And yeah, thanks to them for sponsoring this series and giving data packs to all these drivers as well. And of course, if you want to sign up for Apex Racing Academy, do make sure to head over to apexracingac.com and getting yourself a subscription to be able to get setups for many different cars on the sim. Some 30 plus cars being available for prototypes, GTs, Formula cars, and of course these Porsche Cup cars as well.
Honestly, if you want the best method to get your Apex Racing subscriptions, enter these series and try and win them. That's just a thought I've come off, because I think I've spoken to Marto a few times. For those of you who don't know, a fantastic driver who's won, I think, 6 or 7 Apex championships, something ridiculous like that. And he just has them stacked. Like, if he ever needs an Apex Racing subscription, he'll just go on and just find one of many that he's won over the years. Fully deserved, of course. Come race in the Apex Racing series, no matter what one it is, whether it's GT Trophy, the Porsche Cup, and try and win. And of course, you have a chance to win an Apex Racing TV subscription. Apex Racing TV? Apex Racing Academy subscription.
Yeah, I don't know what. I think everyone's got a free Apex Racing TV subscription, right? Like, there's none of our races are behind a paywall.
No.
You lucky people, get to watch our races totally for free, which is good. And of course, the coverage that we deliver as well. If you were going to put on a price on it, I mean, it'd be pretty expensive, I'm pretty sure. So we've got just one more race, of course. It is going to be a darker race as well. I think the official series this week sort of started at around sunset, and so it will be something for the drivers to deal with. But I think they have got a bit of experience with from the officials last week in the Porsche Cup official series, and we'll see how the drivers can cope. But it really does look pretty dominant for Dalton Zavadil. Like, if he gets a decent start, which he seems to be very good at, he looks almost unbeatable. His pace advantage is intimidating tonight.
Well, it seems like we're getting fairly racy in this warm-up session. Everyone out there setting the paces, which usually you don't see in these warm-up sessions. Everyone usually goes to the toilet, goes on their phone and doom scrolls for a bit, but seems like everyone wanted to get a last little bit of practice in there.
Yes, getting absolutely everything that they possibly could, as Dalton Zavadil will be one of the drivers, along with 29 others, to take to the grid then for this final race of the evening. There he is at the top of the standings, ahead of Hammer, Bramley, Dimbelow, Warren, Lazarus, Despotakis, Berger, who's top of the Pro-Ams, Godestad, Bernier, and I've done enough names, to be honest, today. The rest of them will cycle through for you. Shout out to Pierre Burzeg, who's the top of the AM drivers in 21st place. We have 6 AMs, which is 3 more than what we had in round 1. And already the lights are about to come on. Hayden Bramley has not taken the start, so Bramley from 3rd place on the grid leaves a vacant spot. Zavadil takes us to the turn 1, and it's another very strong start for him. Hammer follows in behind. Then it's Dimblo and Warren. Looks very even for a lot of the drives. Let's see how much gravel there is down at turn 1. It looks to have been cleared away since the offs down at in race 1, and it does seem fairly clean this time around. Bernier up 3 places. He's up into 7th place now, but he's still having to battle with a couple of other drivers. Misha Berger trying to come back at him as they head through turns 3 and 4 of this Laguna Seca circuit, and also Diogo Faria gaining a couple of places as they run into the middle sector.
This is an absolutely strange phenomenon. I don't think I've ever seen Laguna Seca at night, let alone with these Porsche Cup cars as we head through turn 5 for the first time. Looked like Bernier managed to get past Berger. Oh, that's a huge hit going into turn 6. And that is Faria and Berger. And Berger, who had such a good heat race, unfortunately has succumbed to turn 6. Another victim of that corner, albeit under different circumstances. Into the corkscrew we go. Very, very close between pretty much the entire field. Everyone managing just about to get through it cleanly. And towards turn 9 and 10 we go. Another batch of killer curbs on the inside of both of those corners. And it's still Dalton Zavadil leading from the front. I have the feeling it could be another dominant victory for him. He looks absolutely at home here at Laguna Seca. Wonder if maybe he's been here at some point. Oh, that was getting awfully dicey as we headed across the start-finish line. This is Bauman, Felvis and Ruiz going into the first corner. That's very deep for Bauman, and he's going to lose at least 2 places there, which he does, and falls back to 17th place and loses more as Ruiz makes contact with him there. Got to be careful on the rejoin, and that was a good rejoin, as we haven't seen too many of those today.
No, unfortunately the whole pack was so congested that they were able to get past him quick, so he didn't have to wait too long, but he's got a lot of work to do. So Diogo Faria, the one driver who's had to go back to the pits after that first lap incident. Zavadil, 8 tenths of a second ahead. Hammer not clearing Dimbolo too much, but I think with how dominant the American is in front of him, he will just be trying to stay close, maybe using a little bit of the lights as well to help his visibility. But even though he is having to like his own circuit, Zavadil, it is not slowing him down one bit. Dimbolo only a couple of tenths of a second behind the season 10 champion.
Ooh, dearie me. I don't know if you saw that, Sam, but Dimbolo just completely ran into the back of Philip Hammer going into that final corner and nearly sent the German spinning as everyone getting a little bit aggressive into that first corner. And Lazarus thought about going for a move, but definitely thought better of it. And you can see the huge amount of damage on the back of Philip Hammer's car as Hemming, now another driver, falling victim. Unfortunately, I can't see this replay, but I believe this is what happened in turn 6.
Yeah. Oh, so they almost went 3 wide. I think one driver sort of pulled to the left a little bit, and that was the reason why Faria spun off and collected Misha Berger, who was ever so unlucky. Watching it back again, yeah, it was the one. So one of the drivers was a little bit slow. Misha Berger was a little bit slow. That was the 166 of Joe Vega Godestad, who I think will actually be the guilty party in that and might receive a hefty penalty, because I think he did move left unnecessarily. In hindsight, he should have just lifted off.
Yeah, especially on the first lap at a corner where there's not really any overtaking opportunities, to be honest. And got to agree with you there. Definitely, he will probably be getting a big old chunky penalty wherever he ends up finishing. And that's
Dimbolo
falling down the order, and that's another driver up towards the top of the field making a mistake. I don't think that was with contact with anyone. I think that was all by himself, as Philip Hammer now manages to get himself back into second place, overtaking Warren into the first corner. But this is just leaving Zavadil completely. I mean, he is absolutely in control of this one now, as everything behind him just falls into chaos. And we can see what happened to Joseph Dimbolo, and it was all by himself. Was this just too deep from the Brit? Just gave it too much on the exit.
And then having to take evasive action was Corby Warren. And Hammer, despite making a mistake, just had the entire circuit open up for him, and he gets back into second place, but 3.2 seconds off the lead. He'll be really trying to ensure that he does not make, well, it wasn't a mistake the first time around, to be fair, it was contact, but he, yeah, will be trying to hold on to that second place. We might get another replay. I think it might be a replay of that instance earlier on. We tune back in with Sakura. Of course, he managed to get through from the B final, but he's going to be overtaken here by Hayden Bramley. And Sakura goes round, and he's in the middle of the circuit. Drivers tried to go either way. It was Salvatore Lane who progressed with him from the B final, who went off the circuit. They're going to be able to keep racing, but with a lot of catching up.
A lot of catching up and not much vision to do it in, as I cannot see without those Porsche headlights, as yeah, just a simple mistake from Sakura on the exit of turn 9, and looped it round there. And that's the weird thing, he took that corner awfully slow, but oddly, if you drive this car slow, you're gonna spin. It's a bit like a Formula 1 car in a way, where if you want to avoid crashing, you want to avoid spinning, you have to drive it as fast as humanly possible. But he just underdrove it slightly, and coming around that corner, lifted off and sent himself spinning round. And like you said, collided with Lane, as his day gets a little bit more tricky. As Velvus, another driver, a lot of mistakes coming out in this final race today. Not sure where he's actually made that mistake. I think that might have been at turn 6. Again, another driver being caught out by that corner, and well, he's fallen all the way down to the back of the grid now, as he's actually towed back to the pits. So he's obviously had a big off somewhere. A lot of drivers really struggling in this A final specifically. And no matter where you are, from second all the way down to last, we've seen mistakes, little bits of contacts here and there. It just seems to be a bit of a handful, this car and track combination.
Yeah, it really does. This is what happened to Diogo Faria back on lap 1, and yeah, how he got involved with Joe Vega, got a standing co. And yeah, that is why he is still running, and to be fair, he actually picked up a faster pair, which drivers do have available, but they don't always take advantage of it, because once you have to tow back, you're pretty much out of it. But he'll be hoping that someone else retires, and to be fair, Carl Felbus may have retired, so that could be 1 extra point for Diogo Faria should he take that 29th position. 30 drivers in this A final. And of course, if you want to get involved in similar races to this in Apex Racing League, there is a link to our Discord in the description below. There are no series currently open, GT3 Trophy and Porsche Cup, both maxed out entries. So you will have to just sit in the Discord and wait to see any new series that open. Carl Felbus opened up his car right there by smashing it into the wall.
Well, yep, that is one way to do some work on your car, is instead of taking everything off bolt by bolt, just drive it headfirst into a wall at about 120 miles an hour, and it should do the trick. And Velvus can now work on his car behind the scenes in peace. Might cost him a little bit, about probably £200,000. I'm completely guessing what the price of these Porsches are, as Gordon Marshall, and that's yet more contact with Buraseg, being sent round at the Andretti hairpin and flashing aggressively. Not really surprising there. And we are just seeing a little bit of sloppiness from a lot of the field today, especially in the safe final. Don't know if it being dark has anything to do with it, possibly. As Clays and I believe this is Berger still going side by side into turn 5, and Berger just manages to squeeze himself on by as he begins his slow and steady comeback. About halfway through this race, by the way, it's still got about another 8 odd minutes to go. And Berger, I think, could possibly get up to about 18th, maybe 17th, if he can benefit
Oh, no,
from some
Marshall.
trouble as Marshall, yep, just noticed that was down at the corkscrew. Another driver falling victim. I think that was contact. He was fighting with the likes of, I believe, Griefson. But at the moment on this replay, seems to be all by himself. Coming into the corkscrew, everything looks fine and dandy. Oh, but middle of the corner, just gave it the throttle a little bit too early. And that's what I was talking about earlier. You can't just slam the throttle down in these cars at the corkscrew. You have to be a bit gentle with it. And that's more contact with Griefson and Parker. And, well, whoever the stewards are in this race, good luck.
Yeah, wouldn't want to be them. Griefson, I'm not sure whose fault that was. I don't know if it was the outside car who was turning in too early or the inside car who didn't turn in. Let's get a replay and see if I can find out. I think it's James Parker on the inside. Oh, it was Parker's fault, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
No, I agree.
So you'll be grieving that position loss. And yeah, it's not a good one, that, but it's something. It's something.
It's one little moment of joy that he can take away from this race. It's not completely over. He's still fairly close to the cars in front. But yeah, Parker there, definitely the man responsible. As Baumann has got Velasquez up his back bottom, and Hemming not too far behind as well. As the Philippines driver thought about going for a move up the inside there, and again going into the second part of the Andretti hairpin, but just not enough room there at all for him to go up the inside of Nicholas Baumann, as the German getting a bit wide there. As we jump back to the front of the field with Dalton Zavadil, who is having an absolute field day at the moment. Absolutely dominant in his first heat, of course, and in this feature race, well, it's just been textbook from him so far, as I don't really think he knows what on earth has happened behind him. As just chaos, to be honest. Something that shot just kind of put into perspective is it's pitch black here at Laguna Seca. No floodlights at all. And I didn't know that Porsche 911 Cup cars have collapsed suns for their headlights. As look at how bright they are. I mean, Jesus.
Fusion reactors.
Yeah, like they actually have nuclear reactors on the front of their car, providing light for the... Look at how much light it's providing to the track. I mean, that is ridiculous.
It is as though they've like bolted one of the massive lights to the front of the car in order to one of the floodlights to the front of the car to illuminate. But I remember when night became really common in iRacing, when the day-night transition, I think it was 2019 that it came out, and I think the lights were too too dim, like they didn't do enough, and I think there were so many complaints about it. And honestly, in sim racing, I don't mind them being like the Milky Way in each of the headlights. I'm not against that. Like, if it makes it easier for us to drive, then I'm down for that, and it makes endurance racing much less attritional as well.
Yes, I somewhat agree with you there, as we can resume the battle between Baumann and Velasquez and Hemming going into the corkscrew. Very close between these guys. That was very close to being a cut from Miles Hemming, but I think he just about got away with it without getting a slowdown. And all these guys fighting for 15th place, extremely close, both on pace, but they've been fairly clean so far. As we head into the final corner, I sense a cutback coming for Hemming, but I didn't quite get the exit that he would have wanted. But still
Warren
gonna get a nice bit of slipstream. And yes, I've just seen that on the timing screen, as Warren trying to desperately defend from the cars behind, getting extremely close. I think Despotakis feeling a little bit hard done by there by something, shaking his steering wheel left and right in disgruntlement, and the cars behind now, they are extremely close together. not quite sure how these guys have ended up so far behind Philip Hammer in front. A bit of flashing going on as well. I think we've definitely missed a key part of this storyline as Despotakis... Oh, that is a mistake for Warren at the corkscrew, and that's, again, just a driver being too aggressive on the throttle, and he needs to be careful that he's not going to lose too many places here, but I believe he is, as they're going extremely close in those final few corners, and moves all the way down from 3rd to 7th place in a matter of just about 2 or 3 corners.
Well, it was pure unluckiness to lose out on 2nd place earlier on, where he had to take evasive action. And this time he does lose it completely all by himself. And he's not going to get past him below either. So here was Despotakis. It was actually a little bit of a mistake from Warren, maybe. I saw Despotakis on the times when he got momentarily ahead, and it was sort of mid-corner through turn 3, but he wasn't able to hold it. All absolutely fair there. That was good defence from Warren, but the pressure told, and it was just a few corners later at the bus stop that collision was made, as Despotakis sort of harming himself a little bit. That was very aggressive and making a bit of contact.
Yeah, that's the thing as a driver sometimes, is you think you can go for a move, and oftentimes it can end up hurting you, and you really do have to think about the positives and negatives of absolutely everything you do. But in the end, he didn't really have to go for a move. As well, into the corkscrew, Warren just got so unsettled in that second phase of the corner. And, I mean, fair play, good car control for not completely looping it into the barrier like a lot of drivers have done today. But even still, it has lost him about 3 or 4 places. And now he has lost a bit of confidence, I think, as he is dropping off the back of, I believe that's Joseph Dimbolo in front of him, as we head on to what I believe will be the final lap of the race. I think, I'm hoping my math skills would be correct, as Piccolo and Godostad getting very close to one another.
Yeah, looks like Del Piccolo's maybe got past for that 8th place. Maybe a mistake from Godostad. I think he lost it into T1. And that's how that one has switched around. I don't think there's going to be any changes now in the top 7, it looks like. We've only got half a lap now for these drivers to complete. Luke Andrews in 10th place. He's not too far away from Godostad. He might take this result, albeit I think a penalty is coming his way. I think he was the one who caused the collision down into this corner on lap 1, which I think will likely be a post-race penalty. And if it is a penalty, it will be a sizable one, which will drop in many positions. But out in the lead, as we might get a replay actually of how this one happened. Del Piccolo, managing to get the slipstream on Godostad, and got the inside, and there was no coming back from that. But yeah, out in the lead, Dalton Zavadil, the American driver, he has taken the 2nd race win of the season. He came close last time out, but got involved in a collision. This time there is no mistake, and he has won out ahead of Hammer and Despotakis. Lazarus finishes in 4th place. Del Piccolo top of the prize. Godostad, I think, may have run out of fuel because he was ever so slow on the last lap. He dropped behind Andrews, Strand and Saboda, all at the close. And Hemming, I think, got past Borman on the final lap of the race as well. He was closing in the closing stages, and he just about pipped him right at the end of the race. Top of the amateur drivers was Michael Velasquez. Congratulations to him in 17th place overall.
A decent chunk of points for him, nearly finishing halfway up the order as well. Because remember, we've got 30 drivers in this A final, the biggest grid that we do run in these races. As this is Miles Hemming when he battled with Baumann, and it's going to be a good old switchback for him. And that was a very satisfying move on the final lap of the race as well. And I can imagine he crossed that start-finish line with a big old smile and maybe a fist in the air, as well, as getting a switch back like that on the final corner, final lap of the final race. It's a good feeling as a driver, and well, he managed to get 15th because of it.
Yeah, managed to get a really good result from that one. Might get an interview with a few of our drivers, but let's have a look at the final standings then. for this round 2 of the season. Of course, the A final points get distributed ahead of the B final, and yeah, there was Zavdil. These are the pro drivers, at least, with Zavdil winning out ahead of Hammer and Despotakis. In the Pro-Ams, it was a fantastic result for Del Piccolo, and of course it was Velasquez who managed to take the amateur standings, and there was the overall standings. Del Piccolo, yeah, just showing how well he did up there in 8th position overall. Has anyone joined us? Because no one did last time, but I've told them how to this time, which should help. We have got an opportunity to have a chat with Dalton Zavadil, who I will drag up for a chat now. Dalton, congratulations. That is a first A final race victory of the season, and you looked fairly untouchable, honestly. I mean, not just in the heats and the A final, but just in qualifying. You almost had a couple of tenths on everyone, it looked like, out there.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite tracks. Between this and Bathurst, I can race with darn near anybody on the planet. So I'm really confident here. The setup felt really good, and I couldn't be happier with the result.
Absolutely, yeah. Aaron was mentioned it earlier on, and have you been able to visit this circuit in real life, being based in the States, or is it a little bit too far for you to travel?
I unfortunately haven't. It's not too far for me to travel. I don't have the money, so.
Sure. That is the barrier for lots of us to watch the motorsport that we want to do. But yeah, looking ahead to the rest of the season, of course, returning driver for this season. I mean, who do you think are your main rivals for this championship? Because I mean, you've raced against Corby before, I believe. I think you've raced against Philip before, and a few of the other guys. Do you think it's going to be one of them who's going to be your biggest rival, or do you think it might be one of the rookies?
Philip Hammer, Corey Lazarus, Pascal Costa. If he continues to show up over the season, I think those 3 guys are all have the ability to fight for a championship. So, and actually Joe Vigard Goderstad, I think if he puts in a little bit more prep as well, I think he's also one of those guys that has the ability to really fight for a championship victory. So, I expect a little bit more from him. Coming in the later races, I think he'll pick up the pace a little bit. But those 3 guys primarily, I got my eye on them, and definitely have to watch out.
Absolutely. Well, it's been a really good first couple of rounds of the season, and yeah, we're looking forward to you guys battling out there for the remainder of the season. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Absolutely. Big shout out to the team, Fiercely Forward and P1 Docs, for the best road racing setups out there. And then if anybody wants coaching, I coach at z24r.com. And Colby Warren, he got a really good finish today. I'm coaching him on the side as well. So just goes to show. So anyway, have a good one, guys. I really appreciate it. Always a pleasure.
Definitely. Well, that was Dalton Zavadil there, your winner tonight. Aaron, who are you going to drag up?
Oh, I mean, doesn't look like I have much of a choice, unfortunately. But doesn't matter, because we get to have a chat with Andrea Del Piccolo, who had an amazing race today, especially in that A final. Welcome to the booth, Andrea, and just talk us through that A final, because it was not an easy one, but you came away with the Pro-Am victory.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, it wasn't easy. Starting from the fact that it was a bit unexpected for me to race in the night. Maybe it was my fault because I didn't check the timings. So yeah, it didn't start very well from that point, but yeah. I had a really good start, and I made some moves in the lap 1. From that point, it was only bringing it home, I would say.
Well, you brought it home in absolutely fantastic fashion, and it's going to be a big chunk of points to you towards the championship, of course. And I just want to ask, because it seems like a lot of drivers were struggling here at Laguna Seca. Is this a tricky car and track combination?
Yeah, it's a bit tricky because if you go off track, you will easily lose the control of the car, and especially in the left corner in the uphill before the corkscrew, because you don't really see the curbs until it's too late. So you have to be completely focused, and yeah, I've seen many errors there. But yeah, luckily I had the opportunity to do a lot of practice during the week. So yeah, I managed well, I think.
Well, yeah, you executed turn 6 perfectly. And yeah, you're absolutely right. We saw so many drivers messing up at that corner today. It is a difficult corner, no matter what racing series you're involved in. But heading towards the future now, we've got Road America to round out this American triple header. How are you feeling towards that track? It's one of my personal favorites, but I know a lot of people are a bit iffy on it.
I really like the track. I honestly think that it will be easier than Laguna Seca, and yeah, I will try to practice a lot because I had a very bad round one the last week, but I think that I recovered some points today, and yeah, I will focus a lot on practicing also with my teammate.
Well, we hope to see you on top of the pops once again, heading into Road America next week. And thank you for coming and having a quick chat with us, Andrea. And before you let you go, anyone you want to give a mention or shout out to?
I would like to thank all my team that helped me with the practice, especially David and my teammate Dudley, that is currently racing in the AM class. He's having a very bad luck in these first 2 rounds, but I hope that he will get up with the karma. Also, thank you to everyone. Also for the broadcast, for the streamings. It looks very cool.
Well, thank you very much. We all try our best here, and I'm sure that your team and your teammates appreciate the kind words as well. And well, once again, thank you, Andrea, for coming, having a quick chat with us, and good luck for next week.
Thank you everyone. Good night. Bye.
Andrea Del Piccolo there, winner of the Pro-Ams, and that'll be very strong points for his championship challenge, because did not do so well in round 1, only the 12th highest scorer out of the Pro-Ams in round 1, but much more on the money on that occasion. We might be able to have a chat actually with Michael Velasquez, who joins us now. Michael, can you hear us all right?
Yep, loud and clear.
Excellent stuff. Well, that is a really good round for yourself. Talk us through the evening. Back in the heat, just about managed to squeeze through, if I recall correctly.
Oh my goodness, that was... I think I was P13 up until the last corner, and then somehow I got P12, so I'm not sure what happened, if someone spun or anything. But I was like, oh no, this feels like a repeat of round 1, where I had to slow down for another driver sliding or crashing, and then I lost P12. Thankfully, that's not the case today, and was able to sneak through A finals instantly.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a driver a few places ahead of you who towed back halfway through the final lap. We weren't quite sure why that happened. It could have been fuel or something. But yeah, that's you were able to gain a crucial position there. And then in the A final, how was that one? It seemed like you sort of just picked your way through the forward as forward as others had incidents.
I just drove my race, tried to stay out of accidents. I did make one final error in the last few laps, battling in a 3-way battle. Just hit the sausage curb in the sort of that before going uphill, before corkscrew on the left-hander. Just hit the sausage curb, and I thought that was that, but I didn't realize I was fighting against Pro-Am and not Cerquera. So that was a slight sigh of relief, really. But yeah, I don't know, man. I'm really spent after racing all this. It was very tense, lots of accidents. Just wanted to survive. There are some battles as well. So everyone here is super quick and also respectful with driving and battling. So that was cool. And I'm so happy to be part of the grid as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm very pleased that you are enjoying the series so far. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Sure, yeah. I just want to give a shout out to the Sim Racing Philippines and its community. So, yeah, Filipino represent. And then as well as my current team, Legion of Racers, and the sister team or the junior team, Ascent. Shout out to them. They're keeping me accountable for like just to practice no matter what. And yeah, also to my neighbors as well. Hopefully they're not wide awake because it is like 5 a.m. in the morning. I've been racing since 4 a.m. So yeah, also to you guys. Again, amazing broadcast really. And I really enjoyed it. This is how I figured out about Apex Racing Academy as well. This through your broadcast, I'm like, oh, I want part of that. So yeah, shout out to you guys as well.
Awesome. Well, it's good that the sponsorship is doing some good, and you got involved in, Academy and League as well. Well, well done on waking up early, Michael. Hopefully you can get back to sleep a little bit before having to properly go about your day, and we'll see you back in round 3.
Thank you. See you guys.
Michael Velasquez there, your 17th place finisher, but also first out of the amateur drives. And I think that is all the time we have. We've already gone a little bit over time. So I think that will be everything that we chat about. Aaron, a quick word though on round 3 of the season. Road America, and I believe it's our first hour-long race as well. So no heats. It's just one 60-minute event for that round.
You're wrong.
Oh, am I wrong? Is that round 4 that
Yes.
we do that?
Yes, that's Imola the week after. That's our first
You
hour
need to
race.
learn some improv. And improv is all about yes and. So I say something and then you go yes and you go along with it, yeah? Rather than this no and. It's not good improv. But yeah, okay, be correct. And
Make
yeah,
the
Road
series.
America, it's a good track, isn't it?
Yeah, Road America is a very good track. Like I've mentioned, it is one of my favourites. I really, really like Road America. I understand that some people are a bit iffy on it, and I completely understand why. But I just think it's good for racing. It's fun to hot lap. It's I've always had some decent luck there as well. At least personally, I know some people maybe at Canada Corner have had some less good luck, but it's a good track, and I think we should have some good fun. But for someone who makes the series, you should probably know which race is which, Sam.
Yeah, but I'm just improvising my way through it, right? Just like, have a guess. Yes, well, we'll see everyone back, of course, next week. And yeah, will be another great round of the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup. There are links to Apex Racing Academy in the description below, and it's the absolute best way to get coaching for iRacing. Loads of setups available, but also track guides as well, and you can also take part in the group coaching sessions, and there are group coaching sessions for the Porsche Cup, which are probably the absolute best way. You can just ask a professional driver how to get faster in the Porsche Cup car, and they can really talk you through corner by corner on how to improve it. It is absolutely vital stuff, so do check out the links in the description below for that. But for now, from myself, Sam Fitzpatrick, from Aaron Smith, and from Joshua Wilkie, we will say goodbye, and we will see you back for round 3 of the season in 7 days' time. See you then.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, You will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.